Hey, what's going on, guys? You're tuned in to Southern Vibez Radio. It's your boy, DJ Krooks. I'm in the studio right now with my co-host and homie, DJ Ian. What's going on, Ian?
Hey, what's going on, Krooks? I'm glad to be here on the first episode.
Damn, first episode here.
Man, no worries.
First episode here and he messed up. I really thought I was going to mess up. Let's give it up for Ian, guys. Woo! Anyways, we got a very special guest DJ on our show right now. The man, the myth, the legend, DJ Gonz.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yourself, Krooks. Come on,
Oh, man, I already introduced myself. It's DJ Krooks, man.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on, man? How you doing today, Gonz?
Trying to fight that traffic, man.
That Houston traffic?
It's insane, bro.
Damn, that's crazy. I know. I think we scheduled this for like what, 2 or 3 o'clock first. It's like 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know.
It's one of
fashionably
those
late.
Fashionably late.
Yeah, trying to.
That's what's up, man. So how are things, man? How's the DJ industry? How are the jobs? How are the gigs? What's going on?
Good. It's been kind of crazy. Been kind of putting myself in a little different jobs as far as being someone to put mixes together, doing a wedding, one day, doing some type of like beast mode-esque parties where I'm going crazy on that. So just kind of jumping around all kinds of stuff. I kind of feel like a free agent, just kind of jumping around doing all kinds of things.
That's what I always thought was different about you as far as like your type of DJing. You just don't do one kind of like industry thing. You don't do clubs like straight on. You do different stuff. Like one day you'll be at an art gallery. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're DJing, a rock venue, and you're just doing all this
almost like very
stuff.
chameleon-esque. I kind of blend into like my surroundings, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, that's just. I didn't think I was gonna do that just because when I started, I just did just straight battling. That was it. So right. I thought that was gonna be what I was gonna do forever.
So is that what got you into just wanting to battle everybody, become the best DJ out?
My thing was, I saw a commercial. It was like a Spanish commercial for Fanta, the orange soda, and it had a guy on there with headphones. It was a weird commercial. I don't know. I tried to find it on YouTube, but I can't find it anywhere. But the guy just looked mad dorky with the headphone things, and he had one, like he was gonna cue up a record, which I had no idea what he was doing. He just looked so lame doing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, why do they do that? Like that was my first like inkling of like getting into the whole thing. Which people were like, really? Not because Jazzy Jeff? Nah, dude from Fanta commercial. So actually, if I get all these crazy royalty checks someday, I have to find the guy who's in that commercial and pay him out a little bit just for getting me started. But then I had a homie who we were working at Domino's Pizza. I don't know if that's your plug or not, but that's who it was. I was talking to him and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I make beats and I DJ. And I'm like, really? And so I was like, man, that's pretty interesting. Then there was a game that came out on PlayStation that had DJ Qbert on it. It was before Guitar Hero came into play, and it was called Frequency.
Okay.
So this is like OG. This is like you can't just download on a hard drive and how they do it now. But I saw that, and I was talking to him. I was like, yeah, I saw this guy named Qbert, and he was doing all these crazy scratching stuff. And he was like, man, I'll give you this tape. And it was I believe it was 95 ITF US Finals tape. And it was a battle between the Executioners, who were the XMen at the time, and Invisible Scratch Pickles. Mm-hmm. So this is the first time I saw any of this before.
Right.
And 2 totally different styles. Like one on the the X-Men side, they were big on beat juggling, and on the pickle side, like super heavy scratching patterns, stuff like that. So for my first experience, it was like watching the most legendary crews ever. So for me, it was like, wow, you can do that with a turntable. So that got me hooked.
Right.
Like,
a lot of people refer to that battle as like one of the dopest battles ever.
Yeah.
And I just like that there were 2 different styles, like you said. Like they were like the X-Men were like all doing like different like body tricks and stuff, and incorporating juggles, and as the other guys, they were actually all working together in unison. So one dude was like doing the snares, one dude was doing the drums. So I thought that was really dope.
Yeah, no, it was really crazy. So for me, like experiencing that first was kind of like, wow, you really can do a lot of stuff with that.
Right.
So I would just go to his house, he'd work on beats, and he would kind of show me a little bit of what he would do.
Right.
And it was I still remember the record. This was Toasted Marshmallow Breaks that he had.
And just for a quick reference, around what year was this, just for listeners?
This was back in my day. It was about 99, right before 2000. Yeah, I was like a freshman in high school, pretty much.
It was like 4.
So I got into that, and then started saving up my pizza money and getting gear one at a time.
Right.
Because he was like, if you're gonna get anything, man, get a Technics. He donated one of his mixers to me, and then I had gotten another turntable off of eBay. And what's funny, the slip mat that it came with was 2 dogs humping each other. And I was like, what is this? And I remember I didn't have a mixer set up at the time, but I was so excited when it came. And they actually gave me a record. It was like some super lame LA rap record. I don't remember the name of it. But I would just put the needle on the record. I didn't have a mixer on, but I could hear it playing. And so I put my ear as close as I can to the needle to hear the track. So it was crazy.
That's dope. So that was initially what got you interested in the concept of DJing, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. That's what's up. So originally, where are you from?
I'm from LaPorte, which is on like the south end of town of Houston. So it was very, not very open as far as musically that I know about at the time. It was just myself and like country. It was like country folk in a sense. So it's yeah, so really close to like Baytown, Sylvan Beach area. And so some people will laugh at me because around here, it's predominantly like Latino, Hispanic. And so when I would talk, they're like, you sound like what? Like, I would talk on the phone like, man, are you trying to sell me a credit card or something? Like, you have no accent. I was like, no, I hung out with country boys playing baseball all the time. So it's funny how that works.
That's dope. So now you currently live in Houston, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Have you ever thought about, moving to other cities or stuff like that?
Or? I've thought about it. Usually what gets thrown out there is like, oh, LA, New York.
Right.
Which is cool. But I mean, I like where I stay at. For me, I would just want to travel more to play out.
Gotcha.
Bucket list. Trying to cross the fingers, see if something happens. Trying to play out in Japan. That's one of the goals. Oh, that Topo Chico's insane, bro.
Chico, by the way, guys,
that carbonation.
By the way, guys, we actually asked Gonz, like, what is your favorite beverage to drink? Just so we're on the show and he's mad comfortable. He actually recommended Topo Chico, and right now it's it's them bubbles. It's them bubbles, bro. It's them bubbles. Get to you, man. So originally you said you're a battle DJ, correct? So how was that transition going from battling to actually doing parties? So
that's funny you mentioned that. That was the toughest thing because it was one of those where you're so used to putting sets together that are at the most 90 seconds long to 6 minutes. Like the DMC at the time was, it still is, where you put a 6-minute routine together. A party doesn't last for only 6 minutes.
Right.
And so some people are like, really? You had something for 90 seconds? Like, yeah, you can put a lot of technical stuff in that. The toughest thing about trying to put something together is like understanding music. That's where I was lacking because I was super into like punk rock music and East Coast hip hop at the time. And so then all these parties, and we're on the third coast, I had no clue about DJ Screw stuff. None of that.
What?
I didn't. And I was like, man, I gotta learn this stuff. So I would go to other people's parties and I would get a notepad, and when the party was done, like, oh, okay, so that's draped up. That's this. This is that. And then, carbonation.
Shout out to Topo Chico one time.
Yeah, shout out to Topo. There we go. And so I would start gathering up I was almost, in a sense, doing a scouting report on what I needed to do a party in H-Town.
Gotcha.
Because at first, they'd be like, oh, man, you're dope doing these competitions. Can you come do my party? And I'd be like, well, what do you want me to play? Oh, just play whatever. So whatever here was play some down south stuff.
Right.
I had no clue about it. Wow, and so people were like, dude, are you under a rock? Yes, I was under a damn rock when it came to that. Because I knew all my rock. I was a rockhead. That's what I was. So I was like, you sure you don't want no like Tribe Called Quest and all that? They're like, nah, you got some Bum B, you got some Fat Pat and all that. I was like, who and who? Like, what? So it was one of those that I started to learn that DJing wasn't all about technicality.
Right.
It was music selection, musical knowledge, and how to actually use energy to build a set and that whole create a story type of situation.
Gotcha. So from there, I know you said you started battling DJ, then you started doing parties here and there. How was the transition from doing, regular house parties where actually playing music and catering to the crowd to the club?
It actually ended up working out really well because what ended up happening is I was becoming more creative on how I wanted to do things because I'm like, okay, now I get the whole selection part of it. How do I incorporate my technical side with it to make it more entertaining?
Right. And this was back in
I would say early 2000s, 03, 04.
Right. So pre-Serato.
Yeah, pre-Serato. Some people were like, what, really? You guys had that? Like, yes.
Sorry,
we had to carry crates all the time.
We played vinyl records and we had to carry crates and stuff.
So it was one of those where I'm like, okay, I started kind of, and this is kind of a tip that I tell people, is at least know the top 10 or 15 songs per style. So that when you go to a party, because typically when you go to a spot, there's like a lot of different types of people there. And you might run into a situation where you're like, man, I'm all like wrapped out. Like, I don't know what else I should go with.
Right.
So some people might like dancehall. So if you throw a dancehall track out there, you're like, okay, cool. I know these 15 bangers that'll work. Or I know these 15 East Coast bangers that'll work. Or these West Coast ones. So it was like, if anything, learn the top 10, 15 of that style, and it'll definitely help you out. Be more well-rounded.
Gotcha. That totally makes sense. I know a lot of newer DJs. Some of them get stuck in like the same genres. Like, all I want to do is play rap. All I want to do is play EDM. Like, do you have any like tips for guys that are stuck in one genre, like learning to expand other than just downloading the top 10, 15 songs of that genre?
Yeah, I would say, and I did a party not too long ago where the majority of them were really into playing like really hardcore like trap, EDM-esque kind of stuff. And they couldn't like find a way to get out of it sometimes. Right. So my thing was like, well, kind of learn about that particular style. Right. Because you can throw the word EDM out there and it has so many different connotations to it. But it could be like deep house or I guess more of a more aggressive style. Right. Each different subgenre has different like structures to those songs. So like kind of learn the subgenres of those styles to where it can kind of cater to the crowd at a specific moment where you're kind of building up to it. Because it was one of those, if you keep playing the same stuff over and over, there's I would say there's not any more anticipation. It's just like, okay, he's gonna play a song that goes boom, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I was like, I'm gonna get the Count Chocula and just like 1, 2, 3, and just do a count with that. And just for the listeners who don't know who Count Chocula is, he's from Sesame Street, correct? Oh, my bad. Count Chocula, I'm tripping. Count Chocula is the cereal vampire. It's Dracula, right? Yeah. So Count Chocula had this chocolate cereal. But the Count is from Sesame Street. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking about cereal right now. Gonz said he's hungry. Unfortunately, he didn't put cereal in his writer. All he said was Topo Chico and I'm good. Yeah. So, Topo Chico, you guys need to sponsor Gonz. Right. Also, speaking of sponsors, what was the whole idea about the Jim Adler tape? Oh, okay. All right. So there was this thing that me and my buddies from my DJ crew, cracking us. We're throwing some jokes out there. As my buddy Stashwell and Flip, and we had a conversation about wrestlers, and somehow in the stratosphere of that and my mentalness of just like throwing stuff off topic, I guess, I was like, it'd be really funny if like the Texas Hammer was a wrestler, just because he has that persona, right? And he's been doing this thing for years, just super outlandish commercials. But I tip my hat to him. I mean, he's been in the game like forever. Right. And so we kept talking about it, and then we found emojis with Hammer. So it started becoming like this little inside joke kind of thing. And so I sat down some more. I was like, it'd be really dope if like we actually made a mixtape of songs that had something to do with Texas and something to do with Hammer. And it's kind of an ode to Jim Adler.
Right.
Because his nickname is the Texas Hammer.
Right.
And so I was like, we kept joking about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Right. Just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it. Like, why not? Like, what other lawyer's going to get props like that? Like someone dropping a mixtape for him. So
you're going to get hit with that.
Hopefully I'll get a cease and desist. Because I'm like, it's like not calling them out in any bad way.
Right. If anything heals your checks, man. Because, I mean, we were hearing that mix earlier, and there's like 6 different commercials on it.
Yeah.
Like,
So the main premise was his nickname is the Texas Hammer. And so it's like every track, it's either involving the word Texas or something around that, or the word hammer with a commercial in between. You know, and at the same time, it kind of focused on what I was talking about earlier about playing different stuff, because you're like, well, what can you really do with that? Some people will be like, oh, MC Hammer. So the game starts playing in your head.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. All right, okay, where else can you take this? And I was like, you know what? Bob Marley has a song called Hammer. Go figure.
Right.
You know, so it was actually, I had a lot of fun doing it.
Right.
So trying to set something up, trying to, you know, meet him in person and handing it to him. So that's what's on the agenda.
Right.
Is making that happen.
We're going to need a drop from Jim Adler just in case you
oh, yeah.
Definitely. That Southern Vibes drop.
Definitely.
I'm Jim Adler. You got to listen to SouthernVibes.com.
It's Hammer time.
So you mentioned earlier, you know, some of the homies of yours, the Cracker Nuts. Mm-hmm. How did all that coming together when you actually became an official Cracker Nut member?
At the time, they were on one of the major radio stations here in the city, and it was a crew that I really looked up to. It was one of those where, not that they don't do it too much now, but they would do a lot of live mixing on air.
Right.
Which I know now it's very corporate driven, but I would kind of trip out on how the guys would mix and put stuff together, and I would start to hear that name being spread more and more. Because like I said, I was out on the port, so I really didn't know too much about it just from that station.
And this was early 2000s?
Yeah, early 2000s. Right. And then when I started doing battles and starting to win some of them and just kind of showing up all the time, I started meeting more people that were in that network. And so when I got my license and everything, anytime they had shows that I would see some of them on the flyer, I would go and check them out. And I was like, damn, you know, like, they're freaking dope. Just the way they would play, and they reminded me a lot of Beat Junkies out in LA, because I mean, that was like,
shout out to the Beat Junkies one time.
Yeah, they were like my major influence, just because their style is just, it's a culmination of everything.
Right. I
mean, you got technical, you got selection, the way that they're just all as a whole just a really dope crew. And so I could tell that influence was kind of represented with them.
Right.
So I was like, okay, they're not just a DJ that just has the word DJ for their name.
Or just somebody who just plays records.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they would start throwing these battles through the radio station. And so I competed in them. And I had the first one, it was up against, I don't remember who exactly. But they had no idea who I was at all.
Right.
And I was a nervous wreck.
So you just came out the woodwork.
I came out the woodwork like, who's this goofy looking dude? You know? And they were impressed that I put a set together, and it was one of those where it was like talking smack to the other guy and doing different
guy had the disses, bro.
Doing different technical stuff, and the fact that I put in the work to really make it a great battle.
Right.
And so then I just stayed in contact with these guys, and then over the years, you know, doing more competitions and more gigs, they just gave me that phone call like, hey, do you want to be part of this crew? Awesome. And I was like, hell yeah. So
awesome.
Pretty much how that worked out.
That's dope. And you mentioned the Beat Junkies earlier. I mean, I just noticed that I didn't just notice. I'm pretty sure every DJ, you know, noticed that they just started a new school, and I think it looks really dope. That looks like a really dope concept.
Yes, I would recommend for all the youngins, if you can make it out there, do it. If not, I'm here. I'm here in Houston, and Krooks can attest to it.
Definitely.
That's my thing now, is giving back, just because this is something that I love doing, and to help other people out enjoying what they like, but just need that little extra help, I'm down to do that. So I feel like that's kind of been my calling now, just to help out other people. Just because sometimes I wish when I started I kind of had a platform to have people help me out at the time. But in the same sense, it kind of helped me become who I am. And knowing that if you do put in the work, it'll show. Right. For sure.
And definitely I can attest that Gonz is an awesome teacher. Not only did it teach me, he taught other guys that are just amazing as well. Like earlier, I think we're at Mega DJ. Shout out to Mega DJ one time. If you like Mega DJ, smash that like button. Anyways, so yeah, I went to Mega DJ the other day to pick up some cables or something, and Gonz was there, was one of his new students. And Gonz mentioned that this dude, he was learning mixing and stuff like that. And he just started with them, and I heard his mix, and it was dope, man. Everything he was doing live, it blew me alive.
It blew me away too.
Not blew me alive.
Away to
Pause. It blew me away. So this guy's over here mixing, sounding like he's headlining at EDC. Yeah. And I'm just looking at Gonz like, he just started with you, and he's like, yeah literally like 4 months. And I'm like, what? So shout out to that guy. What's his name? Dirty Jimmy's. Dirty Jimmy's? Yeah, shout out to Dirty Jimmy's one time.
Questionable last name right there.
Yeah, we had a lot of talks.
How you gonna do our first shout out like that?
That's we had a lot of talks about it, but he might just keep it to Jimmy. Just because I had a talk with him on it, and he's like, when I kind of gave him the lowdown on that same kind of response you had, I go, you can either have two personas, like that is like your like EDC, EDM title, but don't go with that for like corporate gigs. Because they'd be like, what? Like, it's a long story, don't worry about it. That's that kind of thing. But it's one of those, he's been amazing. But it's just one of those that he puts in the work and effort, and he goes in anytime we have a lesson, and he's the student. He doesn't question anything. He's just like, you're the teacher. If I have a question, I'll more than I'll let you know. Gotcha. And that's the biggest thing with anything. Just don't be so close-minded. Just because someone that's better than you is trying to help you and explain things. Because some people are like, oh well, I saw this on YouTube and this and that. I'm like, well, I'm telling you this for a reason. And so once they get into that grasshopper mentality, it's smooth sailing from there.
Exactly. Sure. And there's only so much that you can learn from YouTube. Yeah, there's a lot of videos on there on how to do certain scratches, but I think a lot of people, they they sleep on DJ schools or just DJs tutoring in general. Yeah. Just because they're like, oh, everything's on YouTube, I'll just learn it from there. But like, no, you have to understand that these instructors, they've been doing this for years. They've been doing this for 10 years, 15 years. They know you're going through exactly what they went through, and they can actually attest like, hey, does it feel like this? Oh, this is why you're not learning it, because you're not doing this certain technique. So they can actually help you get those results faster. It's kind of like having like a trainer or something. Like, of course you can go to the gym and work out, but if you have a trainer, he's going to get you those results faster.
I agree. 100%.
And of course, guys like yourself and Break Free. I know you're part of Break Free,
shout out
for a little bit. Shout out to Break Free. Shout out to DJ Main Event and DJ Demo.
Yes, sir.
One time. So yeah, as I was saying, I know you're part of Break Free, and then from there, that opened up like a whole different network for me to meet different artists and DJs from there. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand about DJ schools and instructors.
No, exactly. Well, so. That's what kind of got me into learning even more from you from when you came. Because when we went to the show out at House of Blues, and you're like, oh yeah, these like selection guys, and it's all in that network. I'm like, huh? And then they're like, oh, okay, that's what's up.
Right.
And so, that's my biggest thing is just, if you really want to learn and you want to learn at a much faster pace, definitely find someone that can teach you.
Gotcha.
For sure.
So I know we're doing all this talk about tutoring.
All good.
Which is dope as well. So, if you don't know now, Gonz does tutoring and stuff like that, so hit him up. We're gonna leave all this info at the end of the interview. Definitely. Anyways, so while you were growing up, I know a lot of like older guys, they didn't really have like YouTube videos or stuff like that. I know you guys used to watch like VHS tapes. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to say VHS.
I know, because it's like it's ancient technology for a lot of people.
Millennials.
It was that tape.
So you guys used to study that. My question is, did you ever have any mentors like growing up? I know you mentioned that dude from Domino's.
Yeah, we were actually in a hip hop group together. called Hafaza, and he was one that pretty much showed me the ropes as far as like, this is how I make a beat, this is how you cut, so he gave me the foundation to build off of that. And then it was one of those where he was like, okay, well, if you want to keep going, here's a mixer and just have at it. So it was one of those that I would listen to songs, and there's one in particular, it was from Dr. Octagon that had Qbert as a feature on it, and it was called Bear Witness, and I would listen to it like religiously all the time because he had a really dope solo breakdown on that song, and I would find the sample and try to like copy what he would do. And DJ Shadow would have a track also that he would do certain cuts. Dope, it was called Walkie Talkie is the name of the track, and I would just sit there and have it on repeat, and it was like maybe 30 seconds in, he'd have this particular like scratch solo, and I would try to copy it all the time.
Right.
And it was just one of those that you would just sit there endlessly trying to figure things out, up until you would see the tapes, and the tapes helped out a lot because you can see exactly what they're doing, and you would just try to copy it.
Yep.
That was kind of my thing. So really, mentor wise, shout outs to J.O. Kinetic, Omar, his name, and Hafaza crew at the time, for really seeing the potential in me and being like, hey man, keep it going, bro, you're like doing awesome. So where I'm at now. That's
dope, man. That's dope. You have any questions for Gonz?
I just want to bring up since you've been in the game so long, I want to see, it's the timeless question.
No, go for it.
How do you feel about the evolution of DJ technology as far as new DJs coming up compared to old DJs coming back?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So it's kind of like as far as with new guys, some will take the time to learn their history on it. Others tend to just learn the technology, learn the program, and just do that, which is fine too. Some people are like, oh, you gotta know that it came from Brooklyn and this and that. And for me, it's, if you don't take the time to learn it, fine. But you never know if learning that will help you become a better DJ. Yeah. Just because you can be like, oh, okay, well, hip hop started, they were using disco breaks. Let me learn more about disco. I'm like, oh, wow. If I'm trying to sample some funk stuff, I should really look into Japanese funk because they were late to the game, but the stuff they make is absolutely insane. Yeah. But I would have never thought of doing that if I didn't learn past history from, the originators at the time. So the only thing is, doing all those things won't make a good DJ any better. Yeah. But really learning it will take you to another level. Exactly. Just because I'm always learning with things. Some people become really close-minded. Yeah. And it's just even with VHS tapes, when that got switched over to DVDs, they're like, oh my God, what are you going to do now?
That's kind of what we're going through now.
Like, who has a landline anymore?
Right. That's kind of what we're going through right now, because people are like, oh shit, I need an aux cord. And I'm like, bro, it's 2017. You need to get a Bluetooth.
Yeah. So it's funny, I run into that a lot, right. With that. But as far as, answer your question more about it, some people stay close-minded. Some guys are like, oh no, you can only use turntables. Yeah. No, you don't. Some people
literally just talking about that.
Some people spend, 4 G's on a badass setup, but they don't know how to use it. They go to a party and then a guy brings like $100 controller and kills it. Yeah. Because at the same time, it's not all about your gear. It's what you do with it. Exactly. And some people forget that. For me, I am open to technology. All it's gonna do is maybe come up with cooler stuff. Now, on the offset on it, you run into guys where the infamous question of, oh, you use the sync button kind of thing. And it's one of those where I'm like, well, if you use it and it ends up being dope and everything works out for the night, cool. Yeah. But if you use it and you use it incorrectly, it's gonna mess you up the whole night.
Right.
There's not a magical unicorn saver button on anything that you hit that one button and it just makes you a super dope DJ. It just doesn't work out like that. You still got to put in the work no matter what.
There's no secret sauce.
There's no secret sauce.
Because it could basically, like, you depend on technology too much, it can handicap you in a lot of ways. Since you're not always going to have your setup, and you're not always going to be in the same exact situation.
Get closer to the mic.
Yeah, that's what
He's trying to really gather on this.
Right.
But yeah, like you say, it's being open on your music and being open on your technology and stuff like that. And as far as being open in the music, how do you feel like the Houston music scene compares to like places like LA or even like
Austin?
That is always the greatest question that always gets asked.
That's the golden question.
Yeah, it is. It really depends on how you're throwing an event and how you're trying to cater to a certain demographic. Because even in LA and New York, they have some spots where you would think, since it's like the mecca of hip hop in New York, that would be totally New York hip hop out, but it's not. It's the same kind of thing that you run into over here, where it's nothing but radio ratchetness.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with it.
Shout out to Beat King.
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you're trying to get something out there, it's basically up to a person to put it on a pedestal to make it happen. Some cities are a little bit more diverse on what they do, but at the same time, they run into the same problems also. It's just who and what team is willing to make it happen. Exactly. Anywhere. Just like the whole boiler room thing. Right. I would have never thought it would have, picked off in other countries where I'm saying like, oh wow, Berlin, this and this and this and this, because you don't hear about it on radio, but it definitely has an audience. It's one of those know your audience and cater to that audience.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of my answer to that question. Is it does have some, I guess it's kind of. Damn, your question is tough.
That's what Ian, a philosopher.
Yeah. Got Socrates up in this place. It is tough here just because the stigma is, okay, Houston's only known for this.
Exactly.
So that's what's always going to be the meat and potatoes of everything. But there are groups that are like, oh, wow, you guys have like an EDM scene here. You guys have this and that. It's one of those, if you're willing to explore it, it's just... everyone's so ADD, I need it right in front of me kind of consumption that it's kind of tough. So typically people that know about other things, they took the time to go and research it to know about it. So it's one of those, either you're going to get spoon-fed everything or you're willing to take a little effort and learn about other scenes.
Right, because I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on SoundCloud within the past few years. And I know we spoke, a little bit about the guys who were at Selection. Shout out to the guys at Selection one time. So I was actually like dumbfounded that there was nobody in Houston actually doing music like this. But little did I know, by doing digging and going through, Selection likes and different artist likes and, people that were on that show, I ended up finding a guy that goes by the name of the Miko's the God that's actually from Houston and it's making Houston intertwined music like that with like the whole Selection vibe. Right. So I just thought that was really dope. So I mean, if you look for it, you'll definitely find it.
Yeah, you can definitely fall into the rabbit hole that is SoundCloud, because that's what I'll do sometimes.
Or YouTube.
It never fails. You're like, oh, I was wanting to look about funny cat compilations, and now I'm like finding all this crazy music all of a sudden. It just kind of runs into that. Yeah, but I agree on that. It's one of those where if you just take the time to look for it, it's there.
Right.
It's just some people don't either get the opportunity or they just don't know how to get their message across. They're like, oh, okay, they're doing this kind of show here. Okay, how did I hear about it? Oh, because he put an Instagram video up.
Right.
So it's very social media driven now, that kind of stuff.
That's cool. Like speaking of like different sounds and stuff like that, how did your collaboration with Divisi?
Oh, Divisi.
How did that come about?
Wait, can you say that one more time? I totally mispronounced it.
Divisi. Divisi.
I said Divisi strings.
That's correct.
All right, cool. Shout out to those guys one time.
Yeah. So how that worked was, I had a buddy that I'll do some mobiles with, and he was doing some work with them, but his schedule started getting kind of hectic, and so they were like, we need to look for somebody, and he's like, man, I got the perfect guy for this thing that you guys are trying to do. So he hits me up, and I'm like, sure, no problem. What is it exactly? It's like, oh, you have strings covering all types of songs, and you're kind of filling in parts and adding, like, mixing 2 tracks together while they'll play like an arrangement to the track. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I go meet up with them, and then go figure, the guy that is running the thing, I went to high school with him. He was he was
That's funny how that always happens.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm like, it's like the most random guy that you wouldn't expect.
I was like,
oh snap, you're a DJ too?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, like I went to high school with you. And they're like, oh yeah.
We had biology together.
Right. 2 seats back. And so they gave me like a set that they would play, and I would look at it, and that's where kind of my battle background helped, and my music, clarinet high school, what's up?
First chair
son.
First chair son.
And so I would see everything and how they had everything set up, and I was like, all right, cool, I see that you guys have 2 measures of silence. I can add like some cuts here, and I can run my effects unit and add these crazy echo synths on top of your strings, and then like mouth would just, your jaw would drop like, what? And so they're like, yeah, just do your thing. And I was like, all right, cool. You said do my thing, so that's what I'm gonna do. And so after doing the performance, they're like, yo, we want you on this.
They're like, that was cool.
Yeah, they're like, wow, we've never had it like set up like that. So now we're trying to make it even more of a show. So we've included dancers, MCs. My thing is to eventually bring some pyrotechnics to the things, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra kind of thing.
Some chicks in bikinis with the fog glasses.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's really fun. It's one of those where I can really be creative, and the focus isn't only on me.
Right.
Which for some could be kind of tough, but you're kind of complimenting with everybody else. But there's times where I can have my solo, just like the violinist can have his solo.
Right.
But it's just cool that I can have an idea, like, I found this really cool Tribe Called Quest instrumental, or this Khaled Location acoustic. It'd be really dope if I added drums on top of that, and you would do this violin solo to it, and we can try it out.
Right.
And it's just,
at the same time, you don't feel like you're just like an average wedding DJ or anything. You don't feel like you sold
no,
out.
Exactly.
You're actually utilizing your turntablism and actually thinking creatively on a whole nother level with other musicians.
Yeah, it's insane.
So it's like you're not a DJ, you're an actual musician.
It's crazy.
Contributing to that, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun avenue. It was something I would have never thought would happen or work. Just hearing the concept, but then I was like, let's see what's up with this. And then doing it in person, I'm like, whoa, this is actually really fun. And then at the same time, it's like, it'll let me use what I learned back in high school, where they say, you better learn this, you're going to need it someday, because they're like, oh, wow, you can read music. I'm like, yeah, I wish other people could do that. That's it's just one of those, listen to your parents sometimes, like really, hit the books at school and really learn some stuff.
That's dope, man. Do you need to use the bathroom or something?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I don't know.
I'm good.
You got too?
Oh, no, I'm good, cool. Man.
I don't know if you guys can see on a camera, but we're kind of cramped in here. This is our first show, so we're gonna move some things around and try to make it more comfortable for our guest DJs coming up. So I know we talked a little bit about like there's different scenes within Houston or just in cities in general.
Yeah.
I know we recently talked and you said you did a EDM kind of deal at like a mansion or something.
Yeah. So this was something that was like completely out the blue. I have a buddy, shout out to Kirby Promo. He sent me a text with a picture, and it's like a blog that caters to music here, and they would book a lot of events at Stereo Live, where they do like a lot of electronic music events and things like that. And they had a competition for headlining a pool party that they had. And shout out to Trovo, that's the name of that crew. And so it was put a 15-20 minute mix together. It can be all kinds of stuff. Winner gets the headline, gets some money and some drinks.
Ooh, sounds like a bet.
So I'm like, why not? My buddy's like, hey, do you see this? I was like, no, you should do it. I was like, why not? Cool.
So did you have to like audition for it? Or?
So what I ended up doing was just kind of figuring out a way to put a mix together that would kind of showcase my style, and from me kind of noticing like what they cater to, which is more dance music and trap kind of stuff, how I could incorporate some of that. And so I put the mix together, and they had an announcement on their Facebook live stream, and I was at a wedding. I was doing a wedding at the time, and I get a text, and they're like, "Hey, bro, you won." I'm like, "Won what?" He's like, "You won that battle." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And so they let me headline for the event, and it was fun. It was like the dopest. Like,
now let me ask you this: did you get a rider?
I did.
What?
All I wanted was green M&Ms. If I see one red M&M, someone's head is going on this damn table.
Did you ask for Topo Chico? I know for
I
us.
did. I did do that.
Shout out to Topo Chico one time.
I did do that. But yeah, that party was insane. But it was really fun because it was one of those where it was kind of like the X Factor of the whole lineup. I mean, I started out with a crazy cumbia trap. You know, props to you on sending me that track.
Oh, appreciate it. I think it was Los Hermanos.
Yeah, El Sonodido, something like that. Yeah, that one right there.
The one that's on Grand Theft Auto.
Exactly. That's what I always say. Everybody like, what song is that? The Grand Theft Auto one on the Spanish channel.
That's true.
You know. And so once that started, it was one of those where like, dude, I have no idea where this guy's gonna go.
Right.
And so I had put some posts from that party on my Instagram, but
it was really dope.
I'm actually gonna compile them all and put them on Vimeo just because it's just a huge file. Pause. I guess that was a pause moment.
Pause.
But it was one of those where it felt like kind of one scene was kind of merging with another. Just because the style that I was doing was very quick mix heavy, but it was all types of stuff. Where 1 minute I'm doing trap, another minute I'm playing Mo City Dawn, another minute I'm going into some dancehall, into some more harder EDM tracks, and it was one of those where like, man, you can really jump through all kinds of stuff. Right. You know, so yeah, it was by far one of the funnest pool parties I've ever done.
Now let me ask you this: did everybody play like that, or everybody was sticking in one genre?
No, some would kind of stick to certain genres. Which isn't bad at all because what they were playing was awesome. It was amazing. But there was some moments where you kind of felt like you wanted to hear something just a little off the beaten path, you know, and so me playing would kind of change it up a little bit. But the whole time, everybody was really doing their thing. But it was one of those where you kind of did want some kind of shift in energy, and everybody was able to kind of do their thing. Like some people would go deep house, some would go a little bit more on a harder end, and then I'd be goofy and playing weird, you know, Macarena remixes and stuff like that, or my Cypress Hill Neon Moon kind of blend.
That one's definitely classic.
So even at an EDM party here in Texas, you might get a country song thrown your way. Just not how you expect it, you know, because they're all like, what is this? You know, that kind of thing. Oh my God,
this is my song.
Yeah, it was funny. I'm like, I thought y'all would just want to know, but like, you know,
EDM and stuff like that.
Super hard stuff like that. Like, Neon Moon's my shit.
Speaking of EDM, did you catch the video of DJ Khaled, you know, at EDC?
So I didn't catch the video. I could imagine what it is. And I've seen nothing but like all kinds of memes and like just all this stuff about him on there. So I'm like, yeah, it's one of those. I mean,
it was hard to watch,
you
know, because, you know, I respect Khaled. A lot of people give him shit just because he's, you know, DJ Khaled. And, you know, he has a lot of success, but you know that. What did you say?
Another one.
Another one. No, that dude has hustle in his heart for real.
Oh no, I do not knock the hustle.
I've seen videos of him. He could actually DJ. I mean, you know,
he can and he also can't at sometimes.
Right.
But it's one of those where if you still kind of have that title to your name, there's going to be a lot of criticism if it looks like you're not doing your thing. Exactly. Just because someone else who's been in it for a long time, like say Jazzy Jeff, you know,
shout out to Jazzy Jeff
if he kind of ran into certain situations, his title, quote unquote, would kind of be called out as well,
right?
On that, just because with anyone in a scene that's like kind of what we're in, like the true heads are gonna call people out,
right?
Just because it's so in their heart. So to someone to kind of crap on it, doing something.
Right, on a platform like that.
On a platform like that.
Like, oh,
some people are going to question. I mean, some people, don't know him on the DJ end. They just know him as a celebrity, a high-end celebrity. And so the DJ side of it is just like, oh, whatever. But some are like, DJ, what does he do?
Right, and I think it just wasn't a right show for him because, I mean, it's an EDM show.
Exactly.
And literally what he's doing is playing like 30-second bangers of hip-hop songs and just emceeing the whole time and just back spinning.
Yeah.
At the same time, I know you haven't seen the video, but just in long story short.
Yeah, enlighten me.
Long story short, basically, I guess they couldn't hook up his turntables. So it took like an hour, or he was 45 minutes behind.
Yeah. He
was going into Yellow Claw's set. And he's into the set, so before that, it's dead quiet. So people are already booing, the mic's not working. He was having sound issues. So once he finally starts his set, people are already pissed off.
Right.
So, and of course, I mean, the set that he did wasn't, the greatest, DJ set of all time. I mean, literally, like I said, he was just slamming songs, back spinning out, and I think they didn't even use turntables. I think they were using CDJs.
Yeah.
So literally, they're just back spinning. So that bad feedback,
yeah.
They were not liking that at all.
You can really hit or miss that technique if you do it incorrectly. It can destroy your ears.
It sounded really bad on the video, and they didn't like that at all. So they just started booing him. But Khaled, man, he was still trying to get out there and was like, yo, like, come on, like, he was trying to work the crowd, man. But unfortunately, they had to cut him. I think Yellow Claw cut him. I think they're like, you gotta go. Like,
so. I mean, with things like that, it's one of those at the same time that you try to teach some people is know your crowd, know your element. Mm-hmm. That's like, you can be the dopest Tejano DJ on the planet, but if you get thrown at a rave expecting people to hear you play techno and you don't, you're gonna get some heat for it. Unless you can find some techno cumbia like remixes up the ass, but yeah, that's crazy.
That's funny that you mentioned cumbias. I know we spoke about last South by Southwest.
So
you said that the cool thing was like to play another cumbia remixes. What's your?
Yeah, so that's kind of been what I've noticed on it, and I guess people are gonna put me in a hater corner. I'm not hating it at all. It was just something that I kind of had a generalization going to a bunch of parties. That was kind of like your ace in the hole, like you're doing your thing and then you throw a cumbia remix on, or then you throw another cumbia remix on or something. So I'm like, okay, what other track do you have a cumbia remix to?
Cumbia remixes, man.
So in my head, instead of hearing like a boom bap beat, I just say ching chicka ching 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 chicka ching 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 chicka ching 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 chicka ching. That was it. So I'm gonna walk into a room like, okay, what am I gonna hear? Ching chicka ching 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 chicka ching ching. So now it's one of those. It used to be like Rick rolling people.
Right.
You'd be playing that song. So now
it's cumbia rolling.
It's a cumbia roll. So I'm here.
Yeah, low key.
Ching 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 ching.
No, low key. Gonz here. He actually cumbia rolled us over here at Mega DJ. I think it was their 11th anniversary.
Yeah.
It was their 11th anniversary, and I think Future Mask Off just came out. Yeah. This guy just plays some crazy cumbia edit of Mask Off, and everybody's just like, what the hell? And they're like, yo, this thing bangs. So it's like, okay, we'll let him.
Like, yeah, if you can't beat him, join him. Screw it. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been kind of my thing. But I gotta give shout outs to Bon Bon for like really using that as a platform.
Right, and that's Gracie Chavez and
Bobby
Trill, right?
Bobby Trill, like that whole crew. I mean, they've been really getting
Shout
after
out to those guys. We gotta definitely get those guys on the show next.
Yeah, they're ones that really influence that style of music, which I'm not knocking them at all for. I mean, they've been at it for a long time. It's just now it's just becoming more popular.
Right. So they already been ahead of the game.
They were ahead of the game for forever. With that.
Woo! But yeah, man. Shout out to Topo Chico one time. I gotta stop.
I know that carbonation be getting you.
Mm-hmm. So we already talked about the cracker nuts. We already talked about the VC strings. My apologies.
Talked about Count Chocula.
Count Chocula. How did the whole Mega 5 thing come to play?
So it was one of those where the way I got into that whole thing was they had a battle thing for it, and my thing was I'm gonna be the only guy that's gonna play a country song. That was my whole goal. The whole time was I'm going to be the first one to put a country song in my set. That's where the whole Cypress Hill thing came about. And I had ended up winning the whole battle.
Wow.
No idea that would happen.
And then what year was this? Just
this was 2012 was the first one. This was at the old Mega.
Right.
Yeah.
Off Westheimer.
Yeah. And then it's still there. It just feels like it's the old one. We go to the new one all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was my first time really knowing like the store's like mission statement, which it was just trying to help out the DJ community here. And so for me, I'm all on board for that.
Definitely.
Like someone is willing to stick their neck out and actually invite, high profile people to do showcases for the city and give as much as they can to the community. You can only show love to somebody like that. So
shout out to Mega DJ one more time.
Definitely.
Smash that like button if you like Mega DJ Center. Shout out to Vin as well.
Yeah,
and
Vin's
homie
the
Long.
man. Yeah, and Long.
Brosco.
Yep.
George.
Who else?
Jenny's new house.
There we go. And so they would start hosting more battles, and I would try to go to more events.
Right.
And they would have like their scratch sessions and things like that. And so I was telling them, I was like, hey, is there any way that I can help you out? Because you do so much for us. I only feel it's right that I help you out.
Right.
So it's like, well, if you want to, come help out at the store, go for it. And that's kind of where like the lessons came into play, and doing the seminars for people kind of worked out. And so he decided, for those that really helped him out and vice versa, that he should have like a collective of guys to make a team.
Right.
And that's kind of how it came about.
And everybody on there is like mad dope too. So
yeah, everyone in their own right are really doing it.
Yeah, everybody has their own individual style. I mean, you got guys like Remix, Rockwell, Main Event, That's Notorious.
Yep. Exactly.
So you guys are all.
So I was honored. He's like, I'd like you to be a part of it.
Shout out to those guys one more time.
Yeah, they were like.
We definitely got to get majority of those guys on there.
Yeah.
Not all of them. So just scheduling and time. So I know you do your club DJing. You do your wedding DJing. Yep. You also do tutoring.
Yep.
And of course, you got your family.
Yeah.
How do you balance all that in like?
I wish I could say I knew the secret.
Like, what's the average day for a life of DJ Gonz?
So it's one of those where I make sure I don't accidentally kick my small dogs when I wake up in the morning, because they're always like right by me. They're like my fleece to my Linus blanket kind of thing. It's one of those get up, try to hit the gym, so I don't be on Team Super Fat. That's always the goal, not to be on Team Super Fat.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of DJs, like me and Ian were just
it's a tough lifestyle, man. It's a tough
lifestyle because, like, by the time you finish a gig, it's like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
The only thing that opens, like, Whataburger, Dots, or, like, Del Sol.
Yeah, because 3 a.m. really greasy quesadillas taste phenomenal.
Amazing.
It's almost like they had MSG, but they 10x the MSG when you eat the quesadilla, because it's like ridiculously good.
Right.
And then anything else after that is like, what other disgusting food can I like shove in my mouth right now that's delicious?
And not to interrupt you, but what is your go-to favorite spot, after a gig, or just in general in Houston?
There's actually
there's lots of spots. Everybody has their own.
Yeah. Now some people might not know this what an arepa is.
No idea.
So
sorry, I'm an uncultured person.
So as far as like me, my dad's Cuban and my mom's Colombian, which I said I have no accent, which is funny as hell. But an arepa is almost like a flat, thick bread that you can put different meats on it, different cheeses, and there's this truck right off of Washington Avenue. It's kind of like our kind of club street, and they have their truck open, and it's just ridiculously good. I mean, you can put all kinds of stuff on there. That's kind of my go-to spot for that. Sometimes I'll go to this like noodle house for like ramen. That's been kind of like my thing too on that. I was going to throw in, then I go to this salad bar, at 4 a.m., but yeah, that doesn't quite happen.
Right.
But,
who wants a salad out there, damn geez?
I know. They're just like, I want this taco salad.
I want a salad with no lettuce.
With no lettuce.
Just croutons. Give me the croutons and we're good.
So, it's tough. The drinking can definitely get to certain people.
Right.
Just because that lifestyle and the things associated with it can become very prevalent,
Mm-hmm.
where some people can handle it and some don't. Where you're like, bro, like, calm down. It's like every night. So you can see how if you're out all the time and it's being available to you at a very low cost,
right? If
how
not,
you
no
can
cost at
you
all.
can quickly get an addiction very fast,
right,
with that kind of stuff. So it's one of those. I try to balance that out. Just trying to set up a schedule. Honestly,
right.
Sometimes a pitfall that I can have is I love this so much that sometimes I'll kind of avoid other things out.
Right, like working out or like...
Yeah, that, or trying to spend time with wifey and things like that. I mean, I don't mind saying it on radio.
Shout out to wifey.
Word, definitely. It's kind of one of those. I've had to learn how to use the time that I have more effectively.
Right.
Where back then I had the freedom to be like, I can just goof off all day trying to work on stuff. Now it's like, okay, I got about 3 hours to get stuff done. Those 3 hours, what am I going to do in the first hour? What am I going to do in 30 minutes?
Right.
What am I doing in 2 hours? What am I doing in 3 hours? To where now everything has its necessity and I have to get it done.
Right.
With like production, that's kind of been my newest thing now, just trying to crank out remixes and edits and tracks. It's one of those where a lot of people stumble and they get distracted.
Right.
Because the little invention that people have now that shines their big face at night or whatever is can be like the biggest distraction ever. Like you try to work on something like, someone posted something goofy on Facebook, or someone posted something.
Next thing you know, you're on Instagram for an hour.
Yeah, then you go down that rabbit hole on YouTube, and then you go this and this and this and that.
Right, and then one major thing, I didn't mean to cut you off, that I've always respected about you that's different from other DJs is you always had this mindset of like, you always had like a business mind. You always had like your sight on personal development and growth. So you're always constantly like, hey, like I need to be productive within these next 30 minutes or hour.
Yeah.
Or I need to make a routine, or I need to read a book a day. And I've always respected that.
No,
about
I appreciate
you,
it. I used to not be like that. It was just one of those where, especially in the DJ world, just from students or people that I meet in the industry, it's one of those where you'll fall into a rut where you're like, man, I'm not going anywhere, or I'm not getting any gigs,
or
I feel stuck, nothing's working out, everybody's telling me no, and it's one of those, people tend to blame others instead of themselves.
Right.
So I'm like, well, look at you, like, what exactly are you doing? Because some people say, well, I work on it all the time. I go, really? Like, put a notebook out and for 24 hours write exactly what you did that day.
Right.
Half the time you're watching, your Netflix binging.
You're watching House of Cards.
Yeah, you're watching House of Cards, or like, they leaked all the Orange is New Black episodes. I'm gonna watch that. And then you look at your paper and you're like, wow, I spent 6 hours not really doing anything.
Right. So my question would be like, how do you feel like, reading books like that, or like, finding motivation has helped you within, your DJ
big
career?
time.
Is there any like certain books that you would recommend for DJs, or other just people in general to read or check out?
So
movies,
one that
audiobooks?
I know you and I kind of been liking is Grant Cardone. Really good mindset that he has as far as knowing that instead of using your phone as just a way to get out of the world, you can actually use it to make money.
Right.
And that there's money everywhere. There's opportunities everywhere now.
Exactly. Money does not sleep, guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have waffle irons that have like Darth Vader on it, and dudes making a killing. There's a TIE fighter. There's a TIE fighter grill that someone made that looks ridiculously dope. And it's one of those that if you have an idea, like millions of people have ideas, there's just no there's no other way of like getting through that. They're just like, I have this idea, I want to do this and this and this, but there's no follow through.
Yeah, there's no execution.
So I would definitely recommend a lot of Grant Cardone material. Another guy is Ramit Sethi. Really good thing on financial end. And also just kind of find out what you like as far as I guess if it's like a top tier DJ, and just take notes. Like, what is he doing that I'm not doing? If it's on a music end, like, he's trying to mix this and this, why don't I try that, take a little bit of that, and incorporate it into my style.
Right. So now we're entering the whole conversation of, top tier DJ or your favorite DJ.
Snap.
Who are your top? I don't know. Let's do top 5.
You can do top 5.
Who's your top 5? DJs of all time. So that can be current. Back then.
So I always have this thing always kind of switches up, kind of like your top like quarterbacks in NFL, that kind of situation. First would be for me is DJ Kentaro from Japan. We're like, who the hell is that? Just watch DMCs of this dude. Only one I know, and I might have to look at Wikipedia on the accuracy of it, or even the accuracy of that Wikipedia statement, but only one I know that's gotten a perfect score in that. Just super creative, insane with it, which another guy in the battle thing would be Craze. Another dude,
hella dope.
Ridiculous. A-Track, just because he's the one that best embodies the aspect of going from something technical to actually going into like the EDM scene and killing it.
Right, and that's why he's coming up with the Goldie
Awards, which is
so
awesome.
It's kind of a mix of like a lot of the older guys with turntablism and the newer guys that are coming up with like this new music genre.
I think it's genius.
With, EDM and like mumble rap or whatever.
Let's get ready to mumble.
Right. So what's your take on that? I know we talked about it a little bit.
So for me, it's one of those things that are going to evolve. And you can't knock on it as far as like, hey, it's going to happen. Just like when dubstep came out, my thing was like, oh, okay, it's a bunch of wub wubs and wow wows. That's how I saw it. But there was some where they put actually really good production into it. And people started kind of figuring out, okay, we can use this style and make something cool with it. Which now it's funny because now it's like even more popular. Because people were like, oh, wow, who do you like? Skrillex? Like, oh, okay. Back then they're like, who? The Wub Wub guy? Yeah, it was kind of that. But it doesn't mean I have to enjoy all of it, where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a banger, bro. And it's like, not to me. But as far as having to learn it, you have to know about it, unless you don't want to DJ that kind of event or know that kind of style. It's just something that I might not be bumping Brazilian bossa nova funk all the time, but let me at least know it.
Baile funk.
Yeah, let me know it. Let me know a couple artists, and maybe there might be a diamond in the rough in that particular style. And
like you said, it always takes that one person, to push that specific genre or stuff. Because I've never heard of baile funk till I started listening to Sango. So, that definitely changed.
My thing was, if getting into that, watch City of God. That's
a dope movie. Yeah.
That's the one that got me into learning all that.
So if you're not reading Grant Cardone books,
watch City of God.
You can watch City of God. But yeah, man, that's really dope. I think Ian had one more question.
Yeah, go for it.
That's really. We got a lot from Gonz today.
You got a lot of.
I mean, you could throw some out of the loop kind of stuff.
Right.
It's all good.
All right, cool. I got one for you.
All right, go for it.
Let's see here. What's your favorite song right now, or your favorite new artist that you just discovered, or something that you think is really dope that a lot of people don't know about yet, or that's hitting,
mine? I mean, I guess they're not relatively old, I guess per se, but like I've been
some older stuff.
I'm a big fan of Disclosure. They came out here on Mother's Day or somewhere around there last year.
So are you telling me you skipped Mother's Day to go?
No, it was the day after Mother's Day.
Okay.
Because I was like, man, when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh man, that's a dick move.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom. I gotta watch this show, but I love you, son.
What is that? That's the GoPro. Damn cameras, man.
No, good. It's paparazzi, son.
Somebody's mom right here.
Yeah. And so they've been like one of my favorite groups. Seeing them live is insane because they're playing everything live. The track that you hear, they're not just playing it on a CDJ. Like they're playing it. Like they'll come from on this pedestal that rises up playing guitar and stuff like the whole night.
Incorporate like real life.
They play everything. Like if they don't move, there's no music.
Right.
And then like the new Kendrick stuff's just dope.
Oh, dude, Kendrick stuff is
killing it. Who who else I've been into right now? Cartel. He's this French house producer. That's kind of been my mode, just kind of like chill, vibey stuff.
Gotcha.
But usually on the workouts, it's like a bunch of Slipknot. I kind of jump around. It just depends on my mood, is what I'm into. But another artist that has been insane to me, and his YouTube videos are crazy, is his name FKJ.
FKJ.
Yeah, it's I think it's a goofy name. It's like French kiwi juice, which I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But he's another guy that will do a lot of like live tracks, like recording. Okay. And his, like I said, his YouTube videos are phenomenal. Like he'll jump on a piano 1 second, record that, then play guitar, and then play a bass, and then the full bust out a saxophone, and then the singer comes in and sings all at the same time in one take. And it comes out like crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be sure to put a link of that in the description.
Yeah, and then another one is, I don't know if he's from the selection team, is Sam. I always screw up his last name. Gelatry.
Sam Gallantry?
There we go.
Gallantry? Did I pronounce it right? Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I've actually pronounced something
I've
right.
been really digging his stuff.
Oh, yeah, his stuff's...
It's just, it could be like really chill one time, or it can hit real hard with like very reggae-esque influences. And I like that stuff. It's just really dope. You know?
I feel like the tropical scene is becoming more popular now.
Oh yeah, you hear it all the time now, like on radio.
Shout out to Drake.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like once I hear I always call it the under the sea tones. Once I hear that do 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 do, like all right, it's tropical time. Yeah, I was waiting for like little Shrimp Sebastian to pop up somewhere when I hear that kind of stuff.
And we were just talking about the new Drake track with Khaled, right?
Yeah, To The Max.
Yeah.
I've been experimenting with a lot of soca and stuff like that.
Nice.
It fits right in that little BPM range. And that whole
Isn't it like a crazy BPM range too?
Like 160, but you can always
you double time that or half time that.
Yeah, but it's nice. And it shows like in today's music industry, like the last 3-star winner, DJ Puffy, actually out of Barbados. He's a really dope guy too.
It's funny how that's full circle with that, because I saw that, and there was people that were giving him a lot of flack about it. They're like, oh, he just won because they're in South America and he's playing all this very Caribbean-esque stuff.
Right.
That's called knowing your crowd.
Exactly.
That's called knowing your crowd. Like, I mean, what do you want him to do?
Yeah.
You want him just to play.
Right. And at the end of the day, he still won. And honestly, his stage performance is up there. I could definitely attest that his stage performance and his energy was there. Like,
I think he took Red Bull you guys have Red Bull here? I'll drink all of them right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of dudes were just hating on Nat and was like, oh, why is he not technical? And we're like, well, if you want to be really technical, why aren't you watching DMC shit? Like,
yeah, my thing was, in that kind of battle, it's not about just being technical. I mean, that's just one little point.
Right.
There is battles that cater to that, but at the same time, even those battles too, you can be super tech, but if you have no flow to it, you might not win.
I think it would, that whole Caribbean vibe really worked for Puffy because like one of the key elements, to getting like a good rating on his originality, and I don't think anybody's before him. If I'm wrong, did it like the way Puffy did, and I think that's what really won him that because it was different.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I saw it, and at first some people, were like, I don't know, because I looked at it, I was like, okay, it's not tech, but he did incorporate it.
Right.
But his flow and the way he did things, I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, as far from that last battle, I think Yuki was like ridiculous.
Oh, his stuff's mad dope.
I'm like, what?
My favorite thing that he did, I think it was the 2016 battle. He did Oye Como Va. Sorry, I don't really speak a lot of Spanish.
All good.
And he flipped it to You Be Illin' by Run DMC. I thought that was the dopest stuff
when
ever.
he did that whole Jackson ABC and like connected 8 songs to that damn thing. I was like, oh my, are you serious, bro?
Yeah, he was killing it, man.
Yeah.
Killing it. So what's in the future for Gonz? Like, you got any upcoming events or any special projects?
Owning a private jet.
A private jet.
That's a goal of mine.
That's private jet.
Yeah,
that's dope, man.
Yeah, just let it be known. Like,
but
really?
What color though?
No
like,
more Spirit Airlines.
Black, bro. Black on black.
Black on black. Are you gonna have swangers on it though?
Nah, I can't.
Right.
Unless it's in the budget, you
See,
know.
a lot of guys don't know what Gonz is doing
DJ's
right now.
Compartment right there.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't know what Gonz is doing right now, but he's speaking live. He's saying, "I'm gonna get a jet," and you know, watching the future, he's definitely gonna get his jet.
Yeah,
so.
that's the goal. Every year I tend to write down a list of things that I want to get accomplished.
Right.
That's on a lifetime goal. Is that? The other one is getting into Red Bull.
Nice.
Trying to compete and get to the top with that. I respect that competition a lot.
What about Goldies?
Goldies, the same thing as well. Trying to put a routine together for that right now.
1 minute video.
1 minute. That's it's a lot to squeeze in that 1 minute.
Pause.
And trying to scratch off playing at every continent. That's the other goal.
Nice.
You know, if Antarctica has it bumping, you know, maybe I go to Antarctica for that. But just putting out more remixes, original tracks, more DJ edits. Been working with different dance crews, putting together their mixes for their competitions. Got a couple things that I'm trying to work on that involve like coloring books.
Ooh, coloring books.
Yeah. Trying to get that off the ground. We'll see how that works out, and just trying to do as much as I can for the DJ community.
Right.
Whether I'm putting seminars, whatever.
So you mentioned actually working with dance crews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What would you say that's something that you've learned from production that helped you with DJing? Something from DJing that helped you with projecting this?
Oh, good question. So with that, it's building a show, like building a set. The same kind of way that you try to create a story with your DJing, or my hope is that's what your goal is. Learning how to do that you do for 4 hours and condensing it down to 4 to 6 minutes.
Right.
Which helped me with battling, because battling I had to put a minute set together that would explain a story clearly and showcase all my abilities. So for me on the production end was like, okay, learning my phrasing, knowing my timing, learning my effects, and then I'm able to incorporate that in DJ sets too. So that's why like shout out to Premier. He really encompassed like using DJing to make his production like super dope. I mean,
right.
the guy's
and he's
a legend
originally from Prairie View or Houston?
Yeah, he went to
I know he went to Prairie View. I don't know if he's originally from Houston.
Yeah, good
or
question.
A small city out here.
Right. But yeah, no, it taught me both ways on that, learning how to put things together quickly and efficiently, because I have to meet a timeline every time for my clients. But yeah, that's pretty much it with that.
That's dope.
What can everybody follow you on your social media?
So on Instagram, follow me at DJ Gonz 123. You can go to my website. I post everything on there. DJGonz.com. Made it really easy. Someone, give me my name back, because I was trying to get it back a couple years ago, but someone had it. The suckers.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Check me out there. Snapchat, DJ Gonz 123. And that's about it.
Cool. That's dope. So one last thing, something we're gonna do, at the end of our interviews and stuff like that, is if you have to give a quick, 30-second speech, on just advice to everybody, in the DJ scene or just in general, what would that be like?
I would say don't be a hater. Number one, as far as if some people help you out, just be good and moral to help that same person out. Just because they open a path for you, don't throw them under the bus for whatever reasons, just to be selfish with it. Learn as much as you can from people, and always be a student of the game. Don't think that you know everything, because someone's going to come and show you that you're wrong on that. Don't think you're the shit, because once you think that, someone's going to come by and be like, oh, well, watch this. And you're like, oh, I guess there is more I have to learn, kind of thing. So just be humble. That's the famous Kendrick line now. Be humble. Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our interview with DJ Gonz. Once again, where could we follow you on your social media?
Usually I do my Instagram more than anything. So it's at DJ Gonz 123. You check me out at Mega DJ Center. Check out my releases on my website, djgonz.com.
Official.
That's right. And DVCstrings.com as well.
Cool. Well, thanks, for coming by and, spending some time with us and getting to ask you some questions.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Woo. Let me start recording. I could have gone for another hour. Just started going.
That's how I know. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.